Welcome to the Ethical Affiliate, the podcast that's all about living life on your own terms through the exciting world of ethical affiliate marketing. I'm your host, Ida.
And I'm Tim.
And in each episode, we'll be exploring the possibilities, strategies, and mindset shifts that can empower you to build a business that aligns with your values and allows you to design the life you've always dreamed of.
Join us as we share our journey and hear from industry experts and successful affiliate marketers who have embraced this new approach to business. Discover the strategies they use to navigate the ever-evolving digital landscape, build sustainable income streams, and most importantly, live life on their own terms.
So buckle up and get ready for a journey into the world of ethical affiliate marketing. This is the Ethical Affiliate, where we believe that living life on your own terms is not just a dream, it's a reality waiting to be created. Thanks for joining us, and let's dive in. Hey Tim, how you going? Can you believe that we are in episode 4 of this podcast?
I'm well, thanks, Ida. Yes, I can believe. It's amazing. It's amazing, though.
It is really amazing. I'm sitting back on my lounge, relaxing. It's actually quite a nice way to do a podcast. It's lovely not having to go anywhere. It's nice to do it from the comfort of your own home.
Hey, that's a really nice segue, although it's a bit early to go into what we're going to talk about today, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yes, you did that. Did you do that deliberately?
No. All
So
natural.
what have you been up to this week?
Well, this week has been really good and really challenging all at the same time. I think every week's been like that for me. I went away to Dubbo, good old downtown Dubbo. It's a nice town. The people were really happy. Actually, a lot of the young folk were pretty happy too.
Yeah.
Actually, it was really interesting. I saw a couple of people that one would assume had addiction issues, and I kind of felt for them, but I wonder if it was more a physical manifestation, like a medical issue, because there was some couple of pretty out there people. And I felt for them. It made me wonder what happens to these guys? Where do they go? What do they do? How do they live, you know? But Dubbo itself is a lovely little town. Big wide streets.
For our international listeners, where's Dubbo?
Dubbo is for all of our international listeners that are listening all over the world. Dubbo is in New South Wales, west of New South Wales, about probably 6 hours west of Sydney, 5.5, 6 hours west of Sydney.
Wheats district or no? What's
I have no idea.
All right.
I don't know. I've only explored the perimeter of this country. I haven't actually explored the interior of New South Wales yet.
Excellent.
But God, the drive was beautiful.
Yeah.
Jesus, I love road tripping.
Yeah.
I would be a happy traveler.
So how long does it take to get out of Sydney itself before you sort of hit the country?
Oh, not long. I just hop on the M4. I'm not far from the M4, so I just hop on there, and before I know it, I'm in the mountains. And
nice.
The drive is really lovely, and I got to visit somewhere I used to live when I was a single mama back in the day with my then 2-year-old. So that was nice to go back and see the house and relive some of those memories. It was really, it was good. Beautiful part of the world. It was Blackheath. It's gorgeous. That is in the Blue Mountains, which is maybe 5 or 4 hours from Dubbo. So it was really lovely.
Really good.
Yeah, so it was nice to get away, catch up with some family. I had my cousin and her kids come along, so it's really great for my daughter to hang out with her cousins, and it's actually really lovely, really, really nice, relaxing weekend. Yeah.
Very good.
How about you?
Well, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed here in Perth.
Oh, Perth.
But I've had a pretty interesting week too. I've been experimenting with advertising, which we talked about earlier, and had some interesting responses and results from that. It's curious to see the sort of responses you get to people who don't know you and have no clue about the business you're in or anything else, really. So it's one of the curious aspects of social media, I guess, that brings out people who you wonder how they function. Almost, will they go around? Will they go around abuse? Sorry, what was that?
Care to elaborate?
Where they go around abusing people in the street, or they just leave it behind when they're sitting behind the desk, the keyboard warrior aspect, as they call it.
Mm.
Oh yeah, they well, a couple once because I was wearing a hat in my photo, and he said, "Oh, you must be a shady character because you're wearing a cap," which is, well, I don't know how to comment on any of these comments because it's just sometimes I'm lost for words, and I thought to myself, no, it was just a blazing hot day. And the
Mm.
other guy was abusing me about being a scammer and all this sort of stuff purely on, I don't know what actually. I assume he read what I was reading. But he kind of, what he came up with was indicating to me he didn't actually read my post at all, really, because he was sort of saying you wouldn't know this and wouldn't know that. Whereas I kind of elaborate in the post what my experience has been. So,
Mm.
and I will say this on live. Here we are that he's accusing me of being a scammer in the whole industry, of being a scammer I'm in and you're in, and yet he was from the banking and finance industry, which, as we know,
Uh-huh.
is not really the ideal um, example of purity and ethical practices. Let's just leave it at that.
I know, right?
So
Interesting.
the irony was not lost on me, but it must have been lost on him somehow. But as I said to you, he had no
Evidently.
picture. He had no picture on his profile. So, you know, what can you say?
Who's hiding? Who's
Yeah,
hiding?
he's hiding.
Right.
Yeah, right there. Why are you hiding? So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
and it did set me back a little bit, simply because, look, I felt in a way I was wasting my time even responding, but I was trying to respond nicely. And I didn't go for the
Being
straight
integral.
out blockage thing, but in the end, it just got out of hand, and clearly I wasn't even going to get through. So I just hid the comments and moved on. Um, but yeah, I guess in summary of the week, I suppose I've been experimenting with advertising and different ways of marketing and trying to expand what I'm doing and choosing who I'm reaching out to. And
Mm.
it's
Isn't
an
it
ongoing process.
interesting?
Mm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say it's an ongoing process, and you have different iterations as you're going along, and uh, and even the people who advertise regularly, 3 out of 10 ads works, and they change that, and that's just the name of the game. It's a numbers game, and reaching the people you want to reach to and help.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true. But it's interesting how really this podcast is actually quite important because there's still so many people out there that are suspicious of everything and they actually end up missing out on really amazing opportunities. So um, we really need to we need to keep talking. We need to keep this in conversation. The whole thing
Yeah.
about being not just being in affiliate marketing, but being really ethical about it, so that those people, when they show up, um, you can turn around and go, well, actually, this is what I do. Now, why don't you go and check it out and then come back to me and tell me whether or not I'm a scam artist?
Very true.
And because that's what people want. They want that reassurance. Because let's face it, we are all looking for a way out. Well, most of us are looking for a way out of doing what we have to do and make our lives more about what we want to do. And this is a way of doing that. This is actually a really good way of combining the two, but it is a journey. It's a journey nonetheless. And it's got it's got there's positives, there's a lot of positives. I don't really find the negatives. I don't see my challenges as negatives. I think it's all part of developing your business skills and your business savvy as well. But in this particular thing that I'm involved in personally, which is attraction marketing, it's about being authentic and really transparent. I'm talking about my own personal business. Um, and that requires a lot of self-reflection, and that can be really challenging for some people. So I guess being ethical about it is actually just being upfront and transparent, knowing how to do that in a way that doesn't expose you and your personal life and keeps you and your personal life safe. So there's a very clear boundary there, but also makes others feel comfortable about who they're dealing with or who is actually, who they're looking at and who they're seeing. So it's a delicate balance and it's a journey. So I can understand why it set you back, but when you're affiliated with a product that's really good and you yourself are a really honest and integral person, it's just a matter of time before people cotton onto it. And when you're on that journey, things kind of crop up, and you do things like collaborate
Yes.
and get your message out there somehow. Yeah.
I think that's you've hit a very good point there. That one of the I was thinking as you were talking while listening to you that I mean I've been in small businesses my entire life, and then I've worked for a family business which was quite a large business, turning over $180 million a year in earth moving and mining. And so I've worked with a company like that, but in general I've worked in small businesses, and I really the online stuff is not that much different at all, which is curious because when I think about it, there's always challenges, setbacks, call it what you want, wins, things you need to overcome, mindset, dealing with customers is really no different. What is different is something like the online business can be a lonely business, although most small businesses say they feel lonely. That's why they have networking groups and things. Like there's no one to talk to. We're all competing. That's what they say. So not a lot of people talk to each other to help them go, yeah, I had the same problem, mate, whatever. And this is what I did. So they do, because that's why you have network meetings. But in the online space, so the online space, you have to put it another way, online space, you need to find people who you can collaborate with, as
Yeah.
we've done, or join or build a community where you can experience the challenges and discuss them, because really there's not much different. There's not much different at all. My frustration with these two people was the inability to really have a proper conversation with them.
Yeah.
They're sitting there behind a keyboard saying what they like. They don't know me. They don't know you, not that you're involved, and that's where going around circle to what you're talking about a podcast is that there's a lot of depth to it. And
Absolutely.
and for those who are watching the video, that you can see us. So we're not, some fake person doing stuff. We just, and we tell it as it is, really. That's the whole point of the podcast. Um, and so, that helps a lot. And I'd suggest anyone in businesses, to get on and do something like that, or do videos, or get on YouTube, or whatever you need to do.
Mm.
But, there's really not a lot of difference. Not a lot of difference with this business or any other business, except what we're going to talk about now is the portability of it. And dare I use that expression, the laptop lifestyle. And as much as it's overused, it is the truth. Although don't use your laptop by a pool.
I actually did that the other day. It's really funny. I think
Not too close.
in the very first episode, we spoke about I can't. Well, actually, I said in my rather self-righteous tone that I couldn't. I don't know anyone who will take
And then
to
did
sit
it.
by the pool. Well, actually, I got to own that. That was me the other day,
There
and
you go.
I tell you what. I mean, yes, there was a fair bit of distance between me and the pool.
Got it.
But it kind of, I had a bit of a chuckle to myself actually, because I thought, yeah, you thought you were so smarmy, but not so much. It was actually, it was really lovely actually being able to sit at my little table wherever I was next to, not too close, but in the pool area where I could supervise
Hmm.
my daughter in the pool and you know just do whatever I needed to do online. And I actually really love that. I love that I could pick up and go last minute to Dubbo. My partner had a gig and we weren't planning on going, my daughter and I, and then we just thought last minute, you know what, yeah, actually let's go, we really need some time away.
Hmm.
And it was so, God, I cannot express how good it felt to just be able to go, yeah, yeah, okay, let's do it. And not even think about it, not think twice. I didn't have to ring anyone. I didn't have to justify. I didn't, we were just able to pick up and go. And that right there that's freedom, to be able to run your life as you need to run at any given time. Like, even if my daughter is sick or for whatever reason, I can actually, my laptop fits in my bag and I can take it anywhere. And really I could even work off my phone if I really wanted to. I just prefer my laptop. But having such a portable business, and a business that if you align yourself with the right product and you market your product and you as a person, um, you can't really go wrong, especially like when you're coming from a place of integrity, when you're coming from a place of honesty and transparency. It's only a matter of time before your business becomes successful. And I think that that's where we're heading, as robotics and AI start to kind of really, especially with AI, they make their impact. Before too long, we're not going to really need, the jobs are going to be fewer and farther in between. And so people of my age group that, in their 50s and older, are going to find it really hard to get a job, you know. And, look, to be honest, after working from the age of 16, I don't want to go work for somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't want that. And I don't think many people really do. Some people might because they like that security and that um and the predictability of being able to go to and from a regular job, and it helps in other ways and in terms of getting out of the house. But one thing I've noticed is that when I first started, I was still approaching it in an old-fashioned way, whereas because I'd never had to figure out what I wanted and how I wanted to live, I was always just going with the flow. So it's a fascinating journey to get to that point where your business is really up and running and doing well. Um, but it's such a great way to actually make your living. It really is, because your work revolves around you. You don't revolve around your work. And like being able to slot it in. And yes, there are, methods of operation. There are certain routines that you got to do, but they're not necessarily routines for business. Then for me, it's more routines for my personal, to keep me personally accountable so I can show up for my life
Yep.
and my business.
Yep.
They're kind of intertwined, but not in a way. I'm working on this bit in a way where your laptop is kind of glued to you. There is a period of that for me personally. I can't speak for anyone else's journey, but for me, there's a period of adjustment. But still being able to still develop my business whilst I'm taking care of my family. Like it blows my mind, actually, the ability to do that.
So there's so there's a level of discipline involved where there was a level of discipline in both ways, really, is that you either attend to your business when you're at home, instead of getting lost in the house duties or whatever else that happens. And there's a level of discipline involved in not doing it too much and taking the laptop or the phone to the dinner table and answering messages day in, day out. You've got to establish those boundaries, don't you? And
Absolutely, yeah.
again, picking it's no different if you do go away. But for example, when you went away to Dubbo, that's no one would have been that happy if you just worked on the laptop all the time. So
No.
it's a choice, and I think that's what this is all about. It's about these choices that we have.
Yes,
And
it is.
yeah, look, I don't actually, depending on where I'm staying at the time, sometimes I do go to a cafe simply because I might want to have a cup of coffee made by somebody else for a change. Sometimes that can be a challenge because it's noisy, or you're sitting right next to people and they're talking, which is noisy as well, or the kitchen or the music could be noisy.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I have put on not earphones, but some sort of AirPods or something like that, so I can at least be a bit quieter and hear what I'm listening to. I might be watching a video, but I might be creating a post. But in general, I've found that I don't need to do that. Sometimes, I mean, people used to say, if you're working from home, back when it was a bit more traditional work, that you should dress up and go out the door and then turn around and come back in the door as if it's an office, and sit in an office and then, discipline yourself to work all day. But we don't have to do that anymore, and we can do snippets of work. And yes, I know anyone who's actually trying to do a Canva illustration or something on a phone knows how hard that can be. However, I have done that for people who've called me up and said, I really need you to change this. And so I've sat in the car and poked around on my little screen and changed an illustration or created one and then emailed it to them, and it's just kind of mind-boggling that you can do that. But yes, absolutely agree with you. My preferred medium is the laptop, and it's almost my, as they say, your life is in your phone. I'm holding up a phone here, out of focus probably. Your life and your entire business is in that phone.
Look, the interesting thing is to like the development phase of any business it's unpredictable. It's a personal journey, right? And this is the thing, like learning to work in a new way, learning, and honestly, like I just discovered CapCut on the weekend. It's like I knew about it before, but I didn't really know about it because, being in the learning phase for me, I'm learning so much and I'm ingesting so much information that there's a lot of it that I miss. And it's not until, a situation arises where then it's revisited. And it was revisited on the weekend because my beautiful cousin, who is prolific on social media, she came up with these great things. And I said to her, God, how are you doing all these reels? Like, I said, reels make me crazy on Facebook and trying to put a story up and it's annoying. It's really clunky. And she said, oh, CapCut. And she went, and before she knew it, there was a reel. And I went, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you have just saved me hours of work. So, within a matter of minutes, I was able, or even like in less than a minute, I was able to put together a reel and post it. And really, with affiliate marketing, if you're doing social media, that's pretty much not all you need to do, because you still need to show up as a person. But gee, I think that really relates to the portability of the business. So if you are going away, you can have your scheduled posts and, but then you can put something together really quickly with an app that highlights what you're up to, and shows people that what this type of business can actually do for you, in terms of it just gives you the space and the portability to live life on your terms, so you can't. And it's such an incredible learning space. I never ever thought that here I am taking over again. I never thought I'd be in the position where I would enjoy I'd enjoy the challenges so much.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And they're not easy. They're not, some of these challenges.
Because you didn't know they were there?
Oh no, I always knew my challenges were there. I just never wanted to deal with them. But it's kind of like two birds in a cage, and you just have to open one door and they can both fly out, because I don't like that other expression. So I'm not only taking care of my mental health, my physical health, because it demands, like, this business for me, it demands clarity of mind, right? And if I'm going to be honest and authentic and show up as who I am, I've got to figure out who that is after years of just showing up for whatever was needed, and and it's so connected to affiliate marketing, because with affiliate marketing, you are the brand, you are the vehicle that is actually pushing a product forward, or talking about a product, or that is what you're affiliated with. That's what's going to give you your income, but you are the face of that. And to figure that out, for some people, can be really scary, but at the same time, if you end up with a business that's not only going to pay your bills, but actually really make you some really good money, it sets you up for life, it's worth those challenges. And that, to me, that's the real meaning of being authentic. It's not being superficial, and that's really hard. It's hard to show up vulnerable in that space too, because people want certainty when they're dealing with a new business paradigm. But it's about changing the scope, changing how we look at things, and changing the way we do things, so that we're not coming from a place where we have to we have to pretend to be something we're not in order to sell something. Like, it's actually about being yourself and being affiliated with something that is actually so good that people will jump on board, and either buy the product or go into business with you, either way. Yeah, so
You've,
and
you've highlighted one very big difference between, and I know I said before there's not a lot of difference because there aren't. The one very big difference is this need for what a previous life could have been as an employee in general,
mm,
which is very much not about you at all. It's let's face it, it's often just being a cog in the machine that generates income for a company.
mm,
As much as you have value to offer the company, it's not about you at all. It's about the processes and work you do, to turning it over to where you are online, operating everywhere, because that's what we're talking about today mostly, is that you now have to change your whole way of thinking about you being out there and learning about who you really are. And this is why it's such a wonderful personal development journey. That, okay, how can I work mobile and be disciplined enough? How can I be myself? Because I'm not used to doing that at all, because in the previous I was a cog. And most people find that quite a challenge because they don't know themselves and they haven't been allowed almost to find themselves. And so
yeah.
this ability to go travel all around the world, literally anywhere with an internet connection, which is most places nowadays, and sit down and go, this is what I'm feeling about today, or this is what I'm doing today, or here's me on a video, can be very confronting for people who are not used to it. Having said that, it's only a couple of steps before you can get quite comfortable with it. So
Yeah.
I would not. I'm just outlining a challenge that come on for someone who wants to get into an online business. But the fact is, you can get very used to videoing yourself and very used to typing about vulnerable things, or actually just expressing your views of the world to complete strangers.
Mm.
And so, as a personal development journey, as well as a journey traveling around, it's quite phenomenal. I don't know anything like it, actually.
Mm. And look, the reality is that, like, you don't have to run your business that way. Like, you can still just make it product centered. Um, but you've got the option. For me personally, I actually want to reach people just like me who have really struggled for whatever reason in making money. I never fit into the 9 to 5 order, and there was something that just did not feel right about me just giving my energy to something that actually doesn't really help me in the long run. And I never ever thought that I would be, even though I never really thought that I would be in a position to be able to make enough money to support myself and my family, because I don't have those formal qualifications. But when you with affiliate marketing, um, I'm I know that that will set me up for my retirement. I know, because I know I have immense confidence in the product and the way I want to approach it. I know that there are people out there just like me, and I want to show people that it's okay to take a risk on yourself, that you actually can do it. And this is a really good way of doing that. And look, it's a challenging journey, and it's one that you kind of need to remain really centered for. But I know we're going off topic a bit here because we're talking about the laptop lifestyle. But the beauty of it is that you can actually run your business whilst you're doing that, whilst you're figuring out who you are. You don't have to call in sick if you can't get to something on that day. You are your own boss, so to speak. So you can make your own choices about how you want to show up in that day. Yeah, and it's a good look, and there's a transition phase. There's a real transition phase, because not everyone has the financial capability to be able to quit their job and then, go into affiliate marketing. And there's a transition phase. I have to transition into that way of thinking, into that way of doing business rather, sorry. And that takes a while, but it's worth it in the end because
It's
I get
yeah.
to live. Yeah, I get to live the way I want to. I get to be true to who I am, and I get to show others that that's possible. And that's really my main two things that I want to achieve is financial independence and wealth, and I want to show other people that can be done. Yeah, and without flashing lights and fancy cars, it's just like, hey, actually, you want to make some money? This is a really good product. This is a really good way of doing it. If you want to take the personal development route, I will support you all the way through it. You've got
So,
this, you can do this.
unlike changing jobs, you don't have to have that massive change because you can investigate affiliate marketing and online business while you're still working at a job
Yeah.
and see if you like it, build it up, try new products,
Mm-hmm.
work on the weekends wherever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And so in some ways, it's an easier way to try out something and get into a new income or whatever you want to call it, whatever it means to you, than going the quite a large decision with changing jobs completely. And
Yeah.
possibly realizing it's not for you, that you've gone to a different company or something and it's really not what you wanted. Whereas to ease yourself into affiliate marketing for however long you feel can be, well, yeah, look, I can go somewhere on the weekend, I can play around with this and, get on my laptop and do some stuff, build up some income and then go, okay, I'm ready to jump or not. Whereas
Yeah. Well,
ready to jump to a new business is quite a jump,
yeah. Look,
another job.
yes, that's right. So I know a lot of people, myself included, who were working when they first started their affiliate journey, and you you got to build up your business until such time as you're in a position where you can make that transition from full-time or part-time work to full-time affiliate work. And it's so worth it because it really, in terms of timeline, it takes as long as you need it to take to build up,
Mm.
right? And what I'm finding is because of the portability of this, I'm able to work it around my family's needs. And what I'm finding, because I still keep coming back to it, it's led to other things like this podcast. And so my desire then, that momentum is building. So, which drives me further, especially in the self-development, which then gives me the inner strength to continue to run my business, which then kind of feeds my brand of who I am. And the whole thing just sort of really comes together quite slowly. It's like all these pieces of a puzzle of our life, I guess, slowly come together finally after being, for me personally, after being separated for so long, and yeah, it's fascinating and
So
scary.
you
Right?
so we could have run this podcast from Dubbo if we wanted to, for example.
We did, yeah, we absolutely could have, but I didn't. I thought, no, I just want to hang out with my kids.
No, it wasn't.
But
I
how
wasn't
good
putting you
that
under
we could have
pressure.
done that.
I
We
was just saying,
absolutely.
as an example of how portable this is. You could have. I mean, I know people who are actually traveling around and doing whatever it is, the Grey Nomad lifestyle podcast. They're sitting there in a tiny
So
part of the caravan with a microphone and a laptop,
I
and
freaking love that.
just they've got a podcast going, and it's so. I mean, I'm just suggesting that, for example, if you're running a podcast as part of your business or videos, doesn't matter where you are. You could have been in Dubbo, take your microphone and your laptop, and we could have just had a different background. That's about the only difference.
You
So
know,
how easy is that?
it would have been actually would have been pretty cool.
Somewhere else,
I
or
have
somewhere else.
regret now. Maybe we should have done it from there because it would have really showcased the portability of being able
But
to just.
that's your you need to balance your life
They
sometimes.
did that. That's where the work-life balance comes in. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But how great is it now that we live in a world where this is now an option? It's now an option. And with AI, like there are people who, like, I struggle with content and I'm a creative, but I think that it's been buried for so long. I've struggled with content, but there's so many tools out there that can really help you with that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time, Tim. It's an exciting time to be in this business paradigm. It really is. And I'm glad I'm in it now. I can't even imagine going back. I
That's
tried to,
that's
but I'm like,
that's the thing. The further you go along in it, the harder it is, and that's is that
to
a
go
fair?
back, yeah. And it's reassuring and reaffirming too to know that, like when I first started, oh my God, I'm taking over again.
All right,
Um,
we can just cut you out.
yes, you can cut me out. When I first started, my confidence in this industry wasn't that high. That was really, oh my gosh, have I done the right thing? But 6 months in, I'm like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. How did and this is why we need to do this, because it is a valid way of running your life and business in a way that actually suits you. It doesn't have to suit your boss. It doesn't have to suit your supervisor. You meet your own KPIs. You set your own goals and
Just listening to you say that brings up anxiety in me, just thinking about because I know someone who's recently applied and worked for a very big supermarket, and the induction process and the online learning, which is almost entirely without a human at all, is just mind-boggling and stullifying of people's intellect. What you have to do to understand the most basic rudimentary things, because they've got to tell you everything. They're doing some roadworks here as an example. I'm just pointing out the window for people on audio, and the signs and things they've got up are like, oh my goodness, why would anyone be, for example, crossing the footpath when it's completely dug up? But they've got signs there saying footpaths under repair, detour. And it's like, really, has it got down to this thing where people have to be told every single thing? You couldn't even walk across the street. Anyway, my point is that to go back into that way of thinking where you have to answer to everything, tick off all the boxes, do the most basic stuff sometimes is just, I don't know how anyone could do that if they've been out of that industry or out of that lifestyle for a while. And they've been traveling around and doing what we're saying, working portably, answering to themselves, which is, yes, is a challenge. And that's part of the discipline.
yeah,
But I guess some people do need someone to tell them what to do.
initially perhaps, but that's
Initially,
where their mentors guide them.
that's right. But to do that after you've been out for 3 or 6 months, for you, for example, and I hope you don't mind saying, if you're suffering from an injury and you've got to go back into that job again, it's like that would be very hard. Very hard.
Oh,
After okay, a couple of weeks, yeah, but after a few months, oh my goodness, how do you adapt to that?
I couldn't imagine going back. I can't anyway, my injury, and I don't want to. Really,
No.
I'm tired of my body paying the price
Hmm.
for putting food on the table. I'm getting older. Nothing has captured my heart enough to keep me there long enough to really make any kind of living. And it's always been about what people can get out of me as opposed to,
Yeah.
and there's very little reward in that. And like, I don't want to do that anymore. I feel like I've just, yeah, people's lives are all about that, what they can, you know, siphon out of themselves to support a system that is kind of designed to keep them down, and this is actually quite an empowering industry to be in, because you're taking control, and you're taking control on a number of levels. You're taking control with your time,
Hmm.
and you're taking control with your money, because you make enough money, and if you're a heart-centered person, you've actually got a shot at making a really big impact, and you don't have to have 1,000 degrees behind you. You don't have to be a doctor of anything or have a PhD. You can actually just be a really authentic, genuine person who wants to make a living and show others that that's possible. And I see people doing that every day, and finding your own voice um, is paramount to getting to where you want to go.
And here's the thing, it's interesting because you can, and I can't imagine what level of injury you'd have to have, but you can still run your business with an injury, which you can't go to work, but you can actually keep your online business going. And
Absolutely.
I've seen people working from hospital beds, because they
Yeah,
posted on social media. Here I
I
am,
imagine I will
doing something.
be.
I know it's silly, but I'm not suggesting people do that. But it's an example of, well, my income may or may not have stopped from my normal job, but I can
Mhm.
keep the online business going. And yes, as you say, with AI, and we've just seen a very short demo of something phenomenal coming up about running a business with totally with AI, that you can actually have that doing a lot of the work, um, based on your input and your entire value system.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
take a week off if you want to. I know you can do that now because you can pre-schedule posts and things like that. But this
But
is
this takes,
a different level.
yeah, at that it takes the guesswork out of it,
Mm.
right? And so instead of spending hours trying to write something, you're actually using something that is getting to know who you are as a person so that you type in what you want to say and it just kind of formulates it in your language. And so it's still you that's doing it. Um, but it's just not taking as long. And that's working smarter, right? And that's actually what affiliate marketing is
That's a
about. It's
good
about
point.
working smarter.
Mm.
Yeah. And now is the time to jump on board. And it doesn't have to be a single source income. You can affiliate yourself with lots of different products, and our main gig here and my main gig in life is to really be ethical about it because
Yeah.
there's so many, oh God, so many people out there um, that are just so dodgy. They're just so dodgy and it drives me insane. And I know that there are people just like me who think, what chance do I have? Do I have to be this dodgy
Yeah.
person?
Yeah. Yeah.
And do I have to, really step on other people so that I can achieve some kind of financial success? Guess what? No, no, it actually doesn't need to be that way anymore. And this is only just now starting to come to light. Now, affiliate marketing's been around for a long time, but it's now it's starting to gain real momentum because there's a need out there. There is a need out there for people to live differently. And COVID really kind of pushed that to the forefront. And it even changed the way we work, even in corporations, with working from home and having hybrid
Oh,
roles.
it hasn't gone back to what and it never will. You're right.
Well, no, it never will. And, up until that point, working from home was like, oh,
Yeah.
working from home. Well, I don't know if you'll be allowed to do that. Well, thank you, COVID. That's probably the only good thing that came out of it, really, was
It
the
forced
fact
it,
that it
it
opened
forced a
our
change.
eyes.
Yeah. It
It
forced a
opened
change
our
that may never
eyes.
it forced a change that may never have happened at all, because employers have an inbuilt distrust of their employees, and some of that's justified. But
Mm,
it forced people to work from home, and then people nowadays, because I speak to people every day, are still working from home part of the week. Just about
yeah,
everybody seems to be, and it's
yeah.
become quite totally acceptable in a very short time. Quite remarkable, really, when you think about it.
A lot of admin roles
Yeah.
are hybrid, if not completely work from home. Look, the thing is, it's interesting how you said the employers have a distrust. That's because people don't want to work for other people,
Yeah, it works both
you
ways.
know.
Mm.
It works both ways,
Mm.
People are doing things they don't want to have to do in order to earn money, right? And I get that we all need to do stuff we don't have to do, right? But the thing with this is that the stuff like the boring stuff and all the learning and whatever a person may struggle with, it's still going to lead to that freedom, right? It's not going nowhere because the more you invest and the more you lean into
100%. Yeah.
this way of doing business,
Yeah.
the closer you become to actually living the way you want to live until you wake up one day and you realize that, oh gosh, for the last 6 months, I've actually been doing whatever I want. I didn't even know. And that's, oh wow, to have that available
Mm.
is just ugh, it's a lifesaver for me. It really is. I know I'm not going to retire poor as a result of this, and I'm not going to have to sell my soul to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think yeah, I think the distrust is in that, and it's been shown to be true that most employees nowadays are also in the state where they're going, I don't know what's going to happen with this company. Are they going to keep me going? Am I going to actually be able to climb up the ladder? Will this job be here at all in 3 years, 1 year, 6 months? There's a lot of anxiety about that happening.
I
And
think there's going to be a lot of high profile people, like high up jobs, that whose jobs are going to be taken over with AI.
there's almost nothing, and look, we probably should do a podcast on AI, but there's almost nothing that won't be touched. And
Mm.
we have no idea, nobody has any idea of what the level of these sweeping changes will be,
Mm.
because the it's like a river. I use this analogy quite a lot. It's like a river coming down a mountain. It cuts its own path, but in cutting its own path, the path changes. And so
That's
then a
right.
new path is cut. And
Yes.
so there's stuff coming out from the changes of the AI, which have now generate, and I'm not talking about the computer generating stuff, that has generated a whole new way of thinking, a way of business, a way of doing stuff that we cannot predict.
Yeah.
It's happening at this unbelievably fast rate.
Mm.
That's even I know, with my extremely limited knowledge of, I've got a lot of knowledge of computers, but not AI so much, that people go, oh yeah, but they'll never get rid of doctors. They'll never do this. And I'm thinking, I can see where AI can be used in a lot of stuff, and robotics, the two together, where a lot of work currently being done by these untouchable jobs can be easily taken over with AI. And in fact, a lot of surgery is now, some ridiculously high amount that you wouldn't believe, is done with
Mm.
robotics and AI. That you just wouldn't have believed it. So we're at such a point of the curve. We ain't seen nothing yet.
No, I know. And, interestingly enough, it'll be interesting to see whether it ups the ante for those, for, people that are doing jobs that no one really wants to do. Is it going to raise the bar on how wait staff are treated? Is it going to raise the bar on how nursing staff are treated? Are they going to get increased wages? Because honestly, as people become more and more aware of this way of doing business, the traditional business owners, our healthcare workers, our teachers, they are all going to need to be treated with a lot more respect, and their pockets are going to need to be fuller, because this particular industry has the potential to take those people away from those jobs. I know already in this market how many nurses, how many freaking burnt out nurses have actually decided, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And they've taken on this kind, and they are thriving
Yeah.
because all of their other nurse friends are jumping on board. Nursing is actually one of the most popular uh, people, it's one of the most popular ones that I'm seeing in this space that are converting,
Yeah.
because nursing's a really, really tough job, and it's a thankless job, and it's not really well supported by, so by the government. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with all of those roles. And I think, let's face it, the bar needs to be raised. We're going in a totally different direction here, but the
We are.
bar needs to be raised, with those services. And affiliate marketing is a great vehicle to push that, because not everyone's going to want to do affiliate marketing. There are still people out there that are going to want to become nurses,
Yeah.
right? And garbage collectors and whatnot. Like, there are people out there that still want to do those things, or that, but the more people that take back their power, I think the better it's going to be for those that perhaps don't feel that they're aligned with affiliate marketing, because it's going to hopefully drive their wages up a little bit more, with any luck anyway. But that's the power of intent, isn't it?
It is. Before we get on to what you've been reading or listening to this week, what are the chances of people, maybe that's not quite the right way to put it, but there's an opportunity for people to actually do the things they love to do, like something like nursing or caring for people, because it's about caring, but they don't have to get their income from it. They can get their income from somewhere else. And so, yes, there's definitely a need. Not everyone wants to sit in a chair or by the pool in Dubbo and do their business,
Mm.
because they actually want to have involvement with people and have real conversations, more so than you can do probably in the line of business we're talking about. But what if we just took the whole money thing off the table by providing the income from somewhere else? And then it's like, okay, Because I can tell you now that waiting in restaurants could be easily replaced within 5-10 years by
Mm,
machines. There's already plenty of places around the world where that's done, especially in Japan.
mm.
It's served by robots. Very easily done. Very easily done. So, what's the reason
What
for
a
that?
world
Well,
we
it's
live
economics.
in.
It's economics, perhaps, and it's also most people in waitering positions aren't that great at it.
I would be a terrible waiter. I would be
There you go.
left, right, and center.
But a great affiliate marketer. So,
Fantastic affiliate marketer.
what have you been reading or listening to this week since we last talked?
Mm. I have been listening to a podcast
Oh,
by a woman called Mel Robbins.
yes.
It's Mel Robbins. Yes.
That's it.
So Tony Robbins. And she's wonderful. She's really good. It's on Audible. Thank you, Audible. And I love her. I'm a bit of a fangirl, got a bit of a crush.
Yeah.
Because she's so passionate about helping people, so passionate about helping showing people that there is a way through their dysfunction, that there actually is a pathway to wellness. And I love that. And it honestly, it's inspired me to take action on a number of different levels. And it's really invaluable. Yeah, I've been loving every bit of it. I can't get enough of it at the moment. What about you?
So, just before I say what I've been doing, when do you actually get to listen to a podcast, for example? What are you doing?
Anything. I can be
Are you?
working on my business,
Hmm.
which I often do. If
Yeah.
I'm working on content or if I'm editing videos or whatever, I'll listen to the podcast. When I'm doing my housework,
Yeah.
it's a
Anytime.
great way um to learn on the run whilst I'm doing things. And because it's a podcast, there's no action needed other than listening. And the material is just so valuable, so
Yeah.
valuable. I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, I have listened to Mel a few times, but I must get back into it. I've got a diverse range of podcasts I'm listening to at the moment, but that's another subject. I'm rereading Ryan. I'm just reading because I made some notes. Ryan Holiday's Discipline is Destiny, which is interesting because we've been talking about discipline.
Mm,
And he's a big fan and a big driver of remembering what the Stoics talked about. And the
mm,
Stoics, for those who don't know, were a tribe in Greece. Probably was Greece then, but anyway, that area we now know as Greece, and probably 2,600 years ago, so 600 years BC, so going back a
wow.
while. And they were very philosophy, basically. They had a strong philosophy of being disciplined
Mm,
and riding through I think this is the right word, the vagaries of life, which is interesting because we often talk about this sort of stuff. And they had three areas they were talking about. One was the body. So you have to you have to control the body, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you have to sort of limit the fluctuations that are happening in your body and eat good food and exercise,
yeah.
and also, drink good water and nourish the body so that you could go through life without having to deal with illnesses and things. That's pretty obvious, but maybe it wasn't 2,600 years ago. I'm sure there probably wasn't that many people talking about it. They also talked about having a moderate mind. So in other words, the same sort of thing, no huge fluctuations in the way you were thinking, and have a certain amount of discipline about what you were thinking about, and be focused on what you're doing. And so it's lovely that we talked about this in running an online business, because it's easy, especially if you are working from home, to get sidetracked by home duties and people in the house, and
Mm,
getting to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, realize you haven't actually done anything yet. But
yeah.
the sheets are washed, which is great.
Mhm.
And then the other thing was being disciplined about. Well, the words he was discipline is about being. I can read it now. About being actualized and not. So what he's saying was being actualized is about being in touch with your spirit and also the spirit of other people. In other words, not realizing that you have a presence about you, and
Mm,
to the old expression is you go into a a room and you can cut the air with a knife. It was about like having an optimistic and disciplined spirit about you.
Yeah.
And so in that way, he was talking about, being disciplined and just not being distracted and so on. So that's a very quick summary, but it's quite a long book, and he delves deeply into the way the Stoics thinking, and a lot of people love this way of thinking, and it is. I tend to think it's a little bit of a male way of thinking to some extent.
Yeah.
Because it is about, I mean, you're talking about Roman times at some stage, and Greek times when there was Hercules and all this sort of thing. It's a manly kind of philosophy. But I've certainly seen a lot of women talking about it and have their own way of thinking about it. So that's kind of what I'm reading at the moment, amongst all the other things I'm reading and listening to, and including
That sounds
podcasts.
amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds fascinating. It's funny how we always come back to things always tend to go in circles. You always end up coming back to the beginning. It always comes back down to nutrition and taking care of your physical self, because it's your physicality that operates your mental. So the brain, even it's a physical thing. You've got to take care of it. Yeah. You have to take care of your body, otherwise it starts to break down.
Well, body, mind, and spirit, although that's a kind of a very Western way of thinking about it, because there is no real separation.
Well, there isn't, no.
You can't have a mind without a body, for example. It just doesn't make any sense. But as Westerners, we're trained to dissect things and isolate things so much. So, you've got the brain, mind, and then the body, and then, well, no, it's just one functioning nature unit connected to everything else too.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about next week? And
I don't know.
I know.
What are we talking about next week?
I think we've got an interview.
Oh, yes, we do. How exciting. Oh my gosh. Wow. Forgot about that. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we have a really special guest coming on our show, our very first one. It's so exciting. She's in the affiliate marketing space, of course, and I can't wait to speak to her and talk to her about her journey so far. She's she's a great girl. So that's what we're doing next week. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes.
So thanks for listening, everyone, and like and share our podcast and our YouTube video stream. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And if you want to know more about what Tim and myself do in affiliate marketing, just reach out to us on Facebook. You can reach out to us individually. You can reach out to us through the the Ethical Affiliate podcast page. And we're looking forward to touching base with you next week and interviewing our first guest. Very exciting stuff for episode number 5.
Great to chat, Ida, and thanks for listening and watching, everybody.
Yes. Take care. Have a great week.
Bye.
See ya.